Welcome, everyone. Ready to dive into the silo?
Absolutely. Can't wait to unpack these characters.
Yeah, so much more to them than meets the eye, right?
Right, like way more going on than just surviving in this crazy world.
It's like they're not just surviving, they're like wrestling with these huge questions about truth and power and what it even means to be human.
In this messed up silo world, exactly.
So before we get too deep, let's introduce the four characters we're going to focus on today.
Okay, so we got to start with Holston Becker, the sheriff.
Oh yeah, Holston, his story is like the definition of curiosity killed the cat, right?
But it's more than just curiosity. He's suspicious. Like, he doesn't believe the whole outside world is toxic thing.
Which, I mean, fair enough, right? But what makes him doubt?
There's these little hints in wool. Like, he finds an old hard drive with, get this, uncorrupted images from before the silos.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they totally contradict what everyone's been told about the past.
So he's seeing the cracks in the system. But if questioning things is so dangerous, why risk it all?
I think Holston just embodies that human need to know the truth, even if it costs him everything.
And it does, right? He volunteers for cleaning.
Yeah, the whole going outside to wipe the cameras thing, it's a one-way trip.
Tragic. But it gets even worse.
Oh yeah, way worse. His wife, Allison, she finds these records of past uprising, like full-on rebellions, and they're all spaced out by about a generation each time the records are wiped clean.
Okay, that's seriously creepy. Like, someone's actively trying to keep people in the dark.
That's the point, right? Control the information, control the people.
So is ignorance bliss in this silo world?
That's the question, isn't it? Is it better not to know?
It's heavy stuff, but this whole hidden truth thing connects to another character. Lukas Kyle.
Lucas, yeah. He's IT, super ambitious, wants to climb the ladder. He sees Bernard, the head of IT, as a mentor.
And Bernard is like the embodiment of the silo's control, right?
Oh, absolutely. But Lucas, he's totally blind to Bernard's manipulation at first. Too busy chasing that promotion.
Until, bam, dust happens.
Yeah.
He discovers Silo 18's power is linked to another silo.
Silo 34 blows the whole we're alone thing out of the water.
And what does that do to Lucas? Does it change him?
It makes him realize that the control goes way deeper than he thought. Forces at play, messing with things he doesn't even understand.
So both Holston and Lucas, they stumble on these cracks in the system, start to see the truth that's been hidden.
And once you see it, can you ever go back? That's what I wonder.
I doubt it. But speaking of seeing the truth, we got to talk about the guy pulling the strings. Bernard Holland.
Ah, Bernard. Such a study in manipulation. He genuinely believes he's doing what's best for the silo, protecting everyone from dangerous knowledge.
But come on, his methods are brutal.
In Dust, he straight up orchestrates a whole series of events to crush an uprising, led by Juliet, the new mayor.
Really?
He manipulates everything, controls information, even sacrifices lives to keep things the way they are.
So he's the dark side of that order and control thing.
100%. He takes it to the extreme. Makes you think about the dangers of suppressing the truth.
Even with the best intentions, right?
Right. Intentions only get you so far.
Okay, but let's switch gears for a sec. Let's talk about Solo, or Jimmy Parker, I should say.
Solo, now he's a total contrast to that controlled silo life.
Yeah, his story is all about resilience, like
Yeah.
a human spirit overcoming crazy hardship.
Yeah, exactly. He survived the collapse of Silo 17 years before the main series.
So he's seen firsthand how fragile these silos are, how quickly it can all go wrong.
And that experience totally shaped him. He's resourceful, independent, doesn't trust authority at all.
Understandably so.
Oh, yeah. And there's this amazing scene in Dust where he helps Juliet and others escape the collapsing Silo 18.
He does.
Uses his knowledge of a fallen silo to get them out. Shows he actually cares about people, despite all his trauma.
Wow. So we have these four characters, each representing something different about being human in this silo world. The truth seeker, the climber, the control freak, and the survivor.
Each one tangled up in this web of control and secrets.
And their stories really make you think about the choices we make, what we're willing to sacrifice, and what we leave behind.
And Solo's story actually starts way before all this. His childhood in Silo 17 is, well, it's brutal, but it explains so much about who he becomes.
Okay, so let's rewind a bit then. Tell me about what happened in Silo 17.
Imagine being a kid trapped in a dying silo, lights failing, water rising, everyone panicking. That was Solo's reality. It's like you see society crumble right in front of his eyes, people turning on each other, just pure chaos.
So messed up.
Yeah.
But amidst all that, there's still glimmers of hope, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like his parents, I mean, knowing they're going to die, they send Solo to the upper levels, sacrificing themselves to give him a chance.
Man, that's the kind of thing that sticks with you forever.
No kidding. And it explains why he's so wary of anyone in charge. He's seen those systems fail, leaving people to fend for themselves.
Makes sense. But there's this interesting thing about Solo. He's so distrusting, yet he keeps putting himself out there to help others. Like, he helps Juliet and the Silo 18 survivors.
It's like deep down, he still believes in people, even after all that crap he's been through.
He sees that need for connection, right? Even in a broken world.
Totally. And he sees a kindred spirit in Juliet, someone who's also gone through hell and come out fighting.
It's a weird kind of partnership. Both strong-willed, independent, but they recognize that strength in each other.
And they get each other's scars, you know. They don't need to explain their past. It's right there on the surface.
Yeah, heavy stuff. But speaking of scars, let's talk about the seed. That whole thing is like a big question mark hanging over the series.
Oh, yeah. The seed, it's the Order's big plan, their attempt to make sure humanity survives. But it's super secretive, and there's a lot of moral gray areas.
Sounds kind of shady.
Well, it definitely raises some questions, like who gets to decide the fate of humanity? What are the limits of control? It's messing with the very definition of what it means to be human.
So the Silo series isn't just about surviving some apocalypse, right? It's about the dangers of power, questioning those in charge, and the resilience of the human spirit.
Exactly. These characters, their lives are totally intertwined with the fate of humanity.
We're talking Holston, Lukas, Bernard, Solo. Their choices, their struggles, their triumphs, they show us just how complex humans are, even in the face of total darkness.
It's pretty powerful stuff, and it really makes you think about your own choices, you know? What would you do in their shoes?
Absolutely. Okay, so we've talked about the Order and their manipulation, the silos being these controlled environments. But it's Solo's journey that really brings it all home. Like his time in Silo 17, it's not just backstory. It's the key to understanding him.
Absolutely. His childhood, it shapes his whole outlook. He doesn't start out all hardened and cynical. He's forced into it by what he sees.
It's tragic, watching your world fall apart, seeing adults making terrible choices, losing his parents like that.
Yeah, and it teaches him early on that you can't rely on authority. The adults in Silo 17, they're faced with death, and they react in all sorts of ways. Some heroic, like his parents, some just plain awful.
He sees the worst of humanity right
Yeah.
there. It's like a crash course in how bad things can get.
Yeah, and it leaves its mark. That's why he values self-reliance so much. He's been betrayed by the people and systems that should have protected him.
Makes you think about how our experiences shape us,
Yeah.
how they make us who we are.
Totally. But there's this paradox with Solo. He's this lone wolf, doesn't trust anyone, but he keeps risking his neck for others, like with Juliet and the Silo 18 survivors.
So what's that about?
I think it shows his empathy. Deep down, he understands that even in a messed up world, connection is important. We need each other to survive, not just physically, but emotionally too.
Maybe he's trying to rebuild that sense of community that he lost, trying to heal by helping others.
Could be. He's drawn to people who've been through the ringer, like Juliet, sees his own strength reflected in them.
Their relationship is pretty unique. They're both tough, independent, but they see the value in working together.
It's a partnership born out of crisis, built on respect and understanding. Like I said, they get each other's scars.
And speaking of scars, let's shift gears to Shift. This book takes us back in time, before the silos, to a world on the brink of collapse.
Oh yeah, Shift. This is where we see how the whole messed up silo society came to be.
I'm ready for some answers, like how did we get here? What choices led to this crazy world?
Well, in Shift, we meet Donald Keene. He's a congressman, gets caught up in the whole silo project thinking it's going to save humanity. He's idealistic, wants to make a difference.
But he's got no idea what he's really getting into, right?
Exactly. He gets tangled up with this super powerful, super shady Senator Thurman. This guy's basically running the show, manipulating everything.
Sounds like we're getting into some serious political intrigue here. What's Thurman's deal? What's his motivation?
That's the million-dollar question. Donald starts seeing the cracks in the whole silo project, uncovering secrets, and realizing things are not what they seem.
So even in the pre-silo world, it was all about control and manipulation.
Yep. Same song, different verse. And Shift shows us how easily good intentions can go bad, how power can corrupt even the most well-meaning people.
Starting to see a pattern here. No matter the time or place, The struggle for truth and the dangers of power are always there.
It's a classic theme, right? And Howey nails it.
So Shift also introduces us to the Order, the folks who created the silos. What's their deal?
The Order, they believe that humans are basically self-destructive, that the only way we'll survive is if they control everything, keep us isolated.
Okay, that's a bit extreme.
Yeah, they're into selective breeding, social engineering, manipulating history. They're playing God, basically.
Whoa, that's creepy. Like some dystopian nightmare.
And get this, they don't plan on waking everyone up from cryosleep. Only a select few, the ones they deem worthy, get to inherit the future.
So they're choosing who lives and who dies. That's messed up on so many levels.
It's a total power trip. And it makes you think about what survival really means. Who gets to decide? What are the ethical boundaries?
Heavy stuff. It seems like the Order is directly responsible for everything we see in wool and dust. The silos, the hidden history, the control, it all goes back to them.
100%. Shift fills in all those gaps, shows us how the seeds of this messed up system were planted way back then.
And it reminds us how important it is to question those in power, to challenge the narratives we're fed, to fight for our own destinies.
Absolutely. And in Shift, we see Donald grappling with these exact questions. He starts out believing in the Silo Project, but then the truth hits him hard.
So he's like the audience surrogate, right? We're seeing the world through his eyes as he uncovers the truth.
Exactly. And his story is a warning. Blindly trusting authority can lead to some pretty dark places, even if the intentions were good to begin with.
Makes you wonder if we're ever really in control of our own lives, or if we're just pawns in some bigger game.
That's the question, isn't it? And as Donald's story unfolds, we're left wondering, can we break free from the mistakes of the past? Or are we doomed to repeat them?
That's a question that goes way beyond the Silo series, right? It's something we all need to think about. What choices are we making? What kind of future are we creating?
It really makes you think about how our experiences shape us, how they make us who we are.
Yeah, for sure. But there's this paradox with Solo. He's this lone wolf, doesn't trust anyone, but he keeps risking his neck for others, like with Juliet and the Silo 18 survivors.
I think it shows his empathy. Deep down, he understands that even in a messed up world, connection is important. We need each other to survive, not just physically, but emotionally too.
Maybe he's trying to rebuild that sense of community that he lost, trying to heal by helping others.
Could be. He's drawn to people who've been through the ringer, like Juliet, sees his own strength reflected in them.
Their relationship is pretty unique. They're both tough, independent, but they see the value in working together.
It's a partnership born out of crisis. Built on respect and understanding, like I said, they get each other's scars.
Right. So we've talked about the Order, the silos, but going back to Shift, did we miss anything crucial about how it all began?
Well, Shift really dives into the why of it all. Like, why did they even build these silos in the first place?
Yeah, why trap everyone underground? What were they running from?
In Shift, we see the world before the silos. It's a total mess. War, pollution, climate change, the whole 9 yards. Humanity is on the brink of collapse.
Okay, so pretty bleak. But that still doesn't fully explain the whole control thing, right? Why not just, build some bunkers and wait it out?
The Order, those folks who built the silos, they had this whole philosophy about human nature. They believed that we're inherently self-destructive.
So the silos weren't just about survival, they were about control.
Exactly. They thought the only way to save humanity was to basically hit the reset button. Start over with a clean slate.
And they were going to decide who got to be part of that clean slate, right?
Yeah, that whole cryosleep thing, it's pretty messed up. They picked and chose who they thought was worthy of surviving.
So it's like they were playing God, deciding who gets to live and who gets left behind.
That's the scary part, right? How easily good intentions can twist into something really dark.
And we see that play out throughout the entire series. The silos become these pressure cookers, all that control and manipulation bubbling over.
It's a recipe for disaster. And it makes you think about the choices we make, the systems we create. What are the unintended consequences?
Right, it's not just about surviving the apocalypse. It's about what we become on the other side, what values we hold on to, what kind of world we rebuild.
And that's what makes the Silo series so compelling. It's a warning, but it's also a story about hope. It's about people like Solo, like Juliet, who find a way to resist, to connect, to fight for something better.
Yeah, even in the darkest of places, there's always that spark of humanity.
Exactly. And that's what we need to hold on to, right? That belief that we can be better, that we can learn from the mistakes of the past.
So to wrap this up, What's the one thing you want listeners to take away from our deep dive into the Silo series?
I think it's the importance of questioning. Questioning the narratives we're told, questioning authority, questioning our own beliefs.
Yeah, don't just accept things at face value. Dig deeper, look for the cracks, and don't be afraid to challenge the status quo.
Because the truth, as they say, will set you free. But it might be a hell of a fight to get there.
And that's the Silo series in a nutshell. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep the hope alive.